everyone. This is Sam with MissionMonday.com, and I'm sitting in my office on a Friday this summer. It's quiet on Fridays. I'm usually the only one in here, and I have my normal background noise, which is my local NPR app, and the story came on, and I was so excited about it. I thought I'd better talk about it. The title of the story, which I love, is Nice Kids Finish First. Study finds that social skills can predict future successes. Now, what they did is they followed a bunch of students from kindergarten all the way through college age, which it's awesome when you see research that makes that kind of commitment and sticks with subjects for that long. That's the kind of thing that I really buy into, as opposed to those just isolated circumstances. Anyway, NPR has a social science correspondent, which, by the way, is a great job title, named Shankar, and he has some really great quotes in this research, because the premise of it is they had kindergarten teachers identify certain social aspects and certain social skills in students and then tracked their outcomes later. By the way, this was all published in a health journal, the American Journal of Public Health. So if you want to check it out, it's there. Anyway, I'm going to quote just a little bit from Shankar that I thought was awesome. There are many studies that now have found that long-term outcomes are shaped by these social and emotional skills. There's been a lot of interest recently in early childhood education. Parenthetically, me, I love anything that's all about early childhood education and investing in that. Anyway, there's been a lot of interest recently in early childhood education programs, and some analyses of these early intensive programs suggest the real value is less about boosting cognitive skills like reading and math and more about boosting these interpersonal social skills and emotional skills. Researchers are finding that these non-cognitive skills, things like self-control or perseverance or conscientiousness, these are building blocks that you need throughout life. Without them, you can't be a good student. You can't hold down a good job. Now, I love that notion of how important those interpersonal social skills are. And there's one thing I really like about that, and one thing I think we should clarify. First of all, anytime that we are talking about developing relationships with students, I think that is legit. Forever, we've known that we have to teach math facts and all those different academic things. But it's good to see validation that the other aspects that are not necessarily graded, that don't show up on a report card, that aren't assessed by our state assessments, like those interpersonal skills, that those have value beyond them just feeling good. One thing that Shankar says in there that I would dispute, though, and maybe this is just semantics, but I think those are cognitive skills. Just because it's not expressly academic doesn't mean it's not a cognitive skill. I would say those interpersonal social skills are in hand cognitive skills as well. So in doing that, it's not just the touchy-feely emotional stuff. I think that's good brain stuff as well. I don't have research to back that up, and I just talked about how awesome long-term research is. Anyway, now, one of the other person in the interview said, well, what if you're not inclined to these things? And that's when Shankar says, well, here's the deal that's also hopeful. He says it's hopeful because there's been a lot of work that suggests that these skills are quite malleable, that there's a lot of things that you can do. Encourage children to play socially, develop interpersonal skills, role model these pro-social behaviors. The optimistic thing about this research is that it looks at many of these skills and they can actually be taught and learned and developed. This research seems to suggest it really has positive long-term outcomes. So we have research backing up to say that bonding with our students, that teaching them how to be emotionally and socially healthy people, even if they're not inclined to do that, is good for them in a capacity way beyond what we ever thought before. Or maybe not whatever we thought before, but what we had the research to back before. Last thing that I really like about this is I don't know a whole lot of teachers who got an education because they thought, oh, I'm just passionate about teaching phonemic awareness. I do know a lot of teachers who got into education because they were passionate about students. That is the element, that interaction with students that they loved. Now, I did really love history, and I taught history, but this is still great and exciting research. So check it out. I'll put the link on here as well. And don't forget, check us out at missionmonday.com.